understand the 4 levels of reading. In the classic book How to Read a Book, Mortimer Adler and Charles Van Doren talk about 4 levels of reading that are important if you really want to study a book in detail. Let's have a closer look at those 4 levels and what they will do for you. Hi, my name is Arjen and I help people study smarter. Today we'll have a look at the 4 levels of reading. And these 4 levels of reading are elementary reading, inspectional reading, analytical reading, and synoptical reading. And it is important that you start using all 4 levels in your studying to make sure that you get the most out of this reading experience. Let's talk about all 4 of them in detail. Level 1 is elementary reading. This is how we all read. This we all learned how to read. You start by forming words from characters and you hear the sounds in your head. And this is very important because most of us, we learn how to read by hearing the sounds of the words on paper. Now this means that the faster you can talk, normally the faster you can read because you can hear the words faster in your head. How do you use this kind of reading? Well, I think you don't really use it after you learned how to read. This is the really basic level of reading. But it can be used, for instance, sometimes when you're reading something very difficult and you really start to spell out all the difficult words that are in your text. And when you do it like that, you will go back to level 1, understand, and you move forward. For example, to level 2. Level 2 is inspectional reading. And what this does is it gives you a good overview of the text that you are probably about to study in more detail. You figure out what to read and what not to read. And the easiest way of doing this is using things like skim reading or superficial reading. How do you use this? Well, you take your book, you read the front, the cover, the back, you go to the table of contents, perhaps you read a piece of the introduction, and you go through the chapters. And you go to each chapter, not by reading everything in detail, but you just read headlines, for example. Or you look at the things that are drawing your attention. And by doing this, you will get a really good overview of what is happening in your book and in the context that you want to study. It's easy this way to highlight a few things in your text to make sure that you know that this is important stuff or this is stuff that you want to read. Does this take a lot of time? Because maybe you can say, well, if I do it like this, first superficial or skim reading, it will take time, and this time can also be used for studying. You're absolutely right. You can use this time for studying. But what happens when you go through your text this way is that you get a good overview of the text that you're about to consume. And after you know what's going on in your chapter, you will be less distracted when things are going one way or the other, when the author is giving you some additional information. And you will have a good sense of, okay, I really need to focus on this, I need to focus on this. And this way you will go through the text faster when you go to level 3. So level 3 is analytical reading. When do you use this? Well, I normally use level 2 reading, so more light reading and skim reading, superficial reading, in the evening. Just before I go to bed, for example. And then in the morning when I want to study, I start with the piece that I just read the evening before. And this way my head is already filled with the general information, and now I can dive deeper and make sure that I get all the important details from that text. And by reading this way, using more focus, I can really think about what I'm reading, and I can turn book information into mental knowledge and wisdom because I dive deeper. Want to go even deeper? That's level 4. Level 4 is synoptical reading. And I think this isn't even just reading anymore. When you go through a text this way, you don't go through one text, but you go through a couple of texts. So you have your study book and you think, okay, I want to get a broader perspective on this or want deeper understanding, you go to other books and you see where you can find overlap, differences, and you really think about what's going on in this book and in the other books. And by doing this, you're just taking all the pieces of information and you start thinking, how can I use this? What is important? What is less important? Why is this done? And if I can explain the why in layman's terms, or when I can explain it to children, I probably understand it. So that's what you should be doing as well. Make sure that you go to a deeper level of understanding by getting all kinds of other topics related to the one that you are studying. So there you have it, 4 levels of reading. How to use this? Well, normally you would start at level 2. You start reading for just going through the text and understanding what's being said in the text. And after you did that, after you made sure that you know what to read, what not to read, and what is going on in this chapter, you start reading more analytical and even more synoptical if you really want to go deep and not just want to study this topic, but a field of knowledge that you want to explore. Make sure that you combine the information from the books, that you think about it thoroughly, and that you create your own thoughts and your own ideas and your own system to use the information. So not just reading and regurgitating what other people say. No, make sure that you formulate your own thoughts and own ideas. If this helped you, if this gave you a better understanding of how you can read next time, make sure that you show your appreciation. Click the like button. Subscribe if you want to. There's more videos coming your way. I look forward to hearing from you. I look forward to hearing what book you are reading right now. And as always, have a wonderful day and a good study session. Bye bye.